Morning, we're bookending the assembly with two sets of speeches. The first is a tradition that started a few years ago when one of our alums Stephen Best, suggested that we do this essay contest in honor of Doug Pascal, my predecessor, who was headmaster from 1988 to 1994 and an incredible English teacher in person. Stephen had him as a teacher, wanted to remember him, and thought that this would be a good moment of learning and instruction for all of us to hear from students that wrote some terrific college essays. We are very grateful to have Mr. Doug Christiansen here, who is obviously known to many of you, who is a Vice Chancellor for Enrollment and Admissions at Vanderbilt. Please recognize and thank Dr. Christiansen. Joining him in analyzing the essays this morning are Ms. Palmore, Ms. Raines, Mr. Bassett, and Mr. Story. So we have three seniors who will now read their essays, Peter Taylor, Andrew Kaplan, and Ben Rosenthal. In that order, please welcome Peter to the podium.
I looked up at the mass of signs and stars in the night sky and laid myself open for the first time to the benign indifference of the world. Albert Camus, The Stranger. When I was in third grade, a car going less than 25 miles an hour struck my friend Max as he crossed the street to attend a football game. He died instantly. I didn't find out until a day later when my parents sat me down in the living room. My parents broke the news gently but bluntly. My friend Max was dead. It was an accident. He wasn't coming back. I thought I understood the gravity of the event and quickly launched into a fit of hysterical crying to match the occasion. But by the end of the afternoon, I had ceased to accept the apparent facts. I wandered around my house in a state of lethargic confusion, unable to determine whether my friend was actually gone or whether the bad news was just a mistake, one where Max's name had been substituted for that of another person who had really died. That afternoon, my father took me over to Max's house where Max's parents had set up a memorial for their only son, a table with his school projects and countless photographs. My other classmates were there too, coping by playing with Max's old toys with a reckless energy, as if nothing had happened and we were playing right alongside them. None of us knew how to deal with loss yet. We were all just kids. I was more than half an hour late to school that Monday because my mother was moving slowly in her own days of grief. My teacher took hours of class time talking to us about love and loss. At Max's funeral, I saw even my stoic father rubbing his watering eyes. Watching adults, the role models in my life, racked with grief led me to the truth of the situation. The tragedy was real, and it affected everyone. After several long weeks of bewilderment, my mom found me on the stairs one weekday afternoon. I wasn't crying, just lying there trying to understand. My mom helped me up and tried to frame the tragedy. It wasn't fair that my friend had to die. It wasn't fair that we had to try to understand this bizarre world that everyone else still saw as normal. But that's how it was, and we had to do the best we could to move on. In Camus' The Stranger, the protagonist Meursault maintains an indifference to the world around him, realizing that his apathy mirrors the apathy of the universe to our desires and to our losses. Camus' deplorable main character is meant to incite us to live fully in spite of the world's lack of inherent meaning. When I read The Stranger as a junior in high school, I recognized in a more general sense what my mother had told me about Max's death years ago. The challenges we face in the world do not conform to any ordered set of preordained logic. We cannot live with the expectation that everything makes sense and will therefore conveniently fall into place. It's not that easy. Max's death forced me to understand at an early age that the world was more complex than it appeared. Just because life doesn't make sense doesn't give us an excuse to give up on it. Instead, we must push forward through the mire, trudging along steadily but firmly, pressing our boots down hard in hopes that we can leave a mark.
Nashville is a music town, without a doubt, but it is also the birthplace of hot chicken and me. The emergence of hot chicken as a centerpiece of contemporary Southern grub has paralleled Nashville's arrival as a hot city. Just as hot chicken is too spicy for many, however, Nashville's tremendous growth has benefited some while leaving others searching for answers. Nashville's rapid urbanization is outpacing improvements to the city's infrastructure. Injecting the youth voice into local politics is a prerequisite to actualizing positive reforms that enrich the lives of Nashville's diverse population. The relationships I have built with inner-city youth on the Mayor's Youth Council have deepened my understanding of how the intensity of the fiery Nashville growth strikes certain families more than others. The Nashville Mayor's Youth Council, sponsored by Nashville's mayor, meets every 2 weeks and consists of 2 appointed representatives from every high school in Nashville. As a representative on the council, I have been afforded the opportunity to take action to spice up the flavor of local politics. Before engaging in these discussions, I was unaware, as many are, of the spices often left out of the political conversation. Gun safety, inaccessibility of public transportation, underfunded public education, lack of affordable housing, and a scarcity of college guidance resources all plague thousands of young adults in Nashville. Life for many Nashvillians is like the bread traditionally served underneath the sizzling hot chicken. Once the chicken has been consumed, all that is left is the chicken juice-soaked white bread that transmits the same savory taste as the cayenne pepper-infused poultry, but it lacks the protein of the chicken itself. So many people throw this bread away. Mayor's Youth Council made real for me what I had learned about only in the classroom, catalyzing my interest in historical and political analysis of communities. I sought to begin restructuring youth involvement in my community by confronting the issue of the lack of youth participation in the voting process. Tens of thousands of eligible millennial voters in Nashville are unaware of how the political process works, its potential effect on their lives, and the role that individual teenagers, even those not yet old enough to vote, can play in the democratic aspect of the legislative system. Through Mayor's Youth Council, in conjunction with a congressman and a state senator, I played an integral role in developing the Davidson County Youth Voter Registration Initiative. Further, by establishing a peer education program, my fellow councilor members and I have been able to help thousands of students comprehend the ramifications of their collective voting capabilities. Democratic participation sets in motion a referendum on one's personal belief system. As millennials voting for the first time ponder the options, they implicitly form a value system which directs the future of their relationships with American politics and community engagement. By providing information and hosting voter registration drives at various Nashville high schools, I helped more than double the number of high school students in Davidson County registered to vote. Engaging in the political process is an effective first step toward creating a community-wide enhancement in political authenticity. 2 years ago, I would have enjoyed my hot chicken, guzzled down an ice-cold glass of sweet tea, and been on my way. But today, I demystify the sauce-soaked bread, and I do not get up from the table until the plate is clean.
The state tennis semifinal was nearing its end. While a close match initially, our opponents began to pull away in the final game. As I cheered on my teammates from the sideline, I felt a wave of anxiety as I sensed what was to come. Love all. From the moment I had picked up a racket at the age of 8, all I had focused on outside of school was tennis. Long weekends at tournaments, nightly practices, and summer camps were second nature to me. When I came to MBA, my path was clear. I would play tennis, get good grades, and find another small activity to occupy my time. Love 15. Before 9th grade, I found that activity. My mom signed me up for a summer debate camp. I reluctantly agreed to attend, but when I advanced to the late rounds of a regional qualifying tennis tournament and missed the first 2 days of camp, I was far from disappointed. However, during my first day in debate camp, I found myself immersed in a world where I felt oddly comfortable. Researching the Cuban embargo and discussing improbable scenarios for impending human extinction excited my inner nerd and introduced me to a community of people who shared these same values. 15 all. During freshman year, I effectively balanced debate and tennis. Growing fonder of debate with each passing day, it was easy for me to maintain a manageable workload as a novice simply learning the fundamentals. The debate season ended at the same time the tennis season began, allowing me to once again devote all my attention to tennis. 30-15. As I split my summer between tennis and debate camps before sophomore year, I realized the time trade-off between the previously coexistent activities was growing. The extracurricular I had joined on a whim now happily consumed the majority of my free time. However, Giving up the single activity that had defined my life was never a real possibility. Unfortunately, after-school debate practices were cutting into my ability to participate in off-season tennis. This lack of court time made it difficult to maintain my prowess on the court. 40-15. As the tennis season began sophomore year, conflict loomed large. The debate season extended further into the tennis season, and while my tennis teammates were having success at regional tournaments, I was having success nationally at debate from tournaments from Detroit to Las Vegas. I still love tennis, but found my true talent and knew instead of being a jack of all trades, I would rather be the master of one. As I considered my activities for the next summer, I contemplated whether I would go to tennis camp, but there was never a doubt in my mind I would choose to go to a 7-week debate camp. As the tennis season came to a close, I knew that despite my reluctance to change my path, I had a decision to make. Game, set, and match. So there I was, watching my team's final match. As the bright yellow ball soared through the air, landing just beyond the baseline, securing the win for our opponents, my focus was not on tennis, but on debate. I realized that this would be the last match I would experience as a part of the varsity team. I was about to make the biggest decision of my life, one that enriched my life in ways I never thought possible, fostering my intellectual curiosity and craving my hunger for knowledge. Instead of devoting all of my afternoons and weekends to tennis with a hobby on the side, that hobby now defines me, allowing me to maintain my favorite sport as a pastime.
Good morning, everyone. We'd like to thank y'all for your attention today. Yes, these 3 seniors did get to read their essays, but I think I would be wrong not to mention the quality of the essays that the rest of this senior class put together. It was very impressive. We get to read every single essay that the seniors do, and I just want to compliment them. The teachers as well here who have helped create such writers, but we're blessed with having such great kids, and I just say it's an honor to work with you. It's also an honor to work with these 3. And without further ado, our winner in the speech contest, Aaron Kaplan. Andrew Kaplan. Andrew Kaplan. Thank you.